we have been depending on commercial banks ever since, borrowing at a very high interest rate. But basically, we use that to import all those meters at that point in time, because we do import all the meter since 1997 up to 2012. I was importing meter, and it has been through commercial loan. It was 2012 and I approached Bank of Industry when I conceived the idea of building a factory in Nigeria. That look, the metering gap in the country is so large that it requires us to start manufacturing these products here. For a country that have a population of 170 million, for a country who has more than 5 million metering gap, do we have to import all this meter? And that's my presentation to Bank of Industry. And they were able to applaud that decision that yes, at least we have somebody who is bold enough to take the risk of building a factory, because setting up a factory in our country especially is like taking a very big risk. So it was funded by the Bank of Industry with my own little contribution and some other commercial bank altogether that brought in this factory today. And the support from the Bank of Industry has been very, very encouraging.
As you have explained, as at the time you approached the Bank of Industry to secure this funding, it wasn't essentially some kind of funding that they were used to, because it was a new phase the country was going into. Now, how did the Bank of Industry approach you as an entrepreneur who is bringing on a kind of business that they had never funded before?
Yes, they conducted their due diligence on us, because when we approached them for funding, the first thing they did is, besides the presentation of the document, they engaged us in an interactive session, and they discovered that we are built of knowledge. We are house name of knowledge when it comes to metering. Because there are two aspects to electricity meter today. We have the software aspect of it, and we have the hardware out of it. The hardware is the physical meter you see. The software application are equally developed by us. I'm confirming to you, prior to our development, they used to import all billing application from America. I was the first Nigerian to develop a billing application used by the DISCO today. And I'm also the first Nigerian to develop prepayment application certified by STS Association to be used for prepayment. So I don't see any reason why we should import any form of billing or prepayment application to the country, because we have the best here. Now, the hardware. I'm also the first Nigerian to develop a purely made in Nigeria electricity meter for the country, because our brand is OBM. It's original brand manufacturing that we created. We are not selling anybody's brand. We are not selling any overseas brand. It's our brand designed by us for Nigeria, and taking recognize of all the peculiarity that we have in the country into the design, so that it will last, it will be able to sustain our fluctuation, it will be able to address all the anomalies in our electricity supply. And that's the reason why we designed that meter for the country, and it was purely funded by Bank of Industry.
I'm curious, what is the current metering gap that we have in Nigeria?
The metering gap, to the best of my knowledge, is more than 3 million today, but I'm sure it's more than 3 million. But however, since we started production of electricity meter in this country, we've not been able to meter 500,000 in a year. That's to tell you how we are underutilizing the capacity that we have. The electricity factory that we have in Nigeria today is sufficient to meet all the metering gap sufficiently. But I think the hindrances is funding, because we must be funded adequately for us to be able to meet the metering gap.
Tell me about the nature of your loan with the Bank of Industry. How many times, and are you fully liquidated?
Specifically, it's in millions, closer to billion that I've taken from Bank of Industry, and I took it in 2 tranches. The long terms loan and the short term, which is the working capital. Those are the two loans I've been managing. On the short term, the working capital, I've been paying back bit by bit, and we are restructuring it. We almost ran the short term loan out, and we want to reapply for another one. So because the determination to keep this factory going is unshakable, so we want to make sure that whatever it takes to position our factory to be able to serve the metering need in the country is undoubtedly the best things that we can do for our nation.
So many Nigerians are still without electricity meters. Is that not an indictment on Momas Systems Limited?
The issue of no meter is not true. That we have meters sufficiently to address the metering gap, and we have the capacity. But the policy issue is what they need to address. Because if DISCO did not fund us as a manufacturer, we cannot give them meter. An individual doesn't have the right to buy the meter directly from us. So, and that's why we're saying that let us look for a level playing ground, another scheme that will act as an intervention to be able to address the consumer need, because consumer is the issue at hand now. They are being deprived of their right. Part of their right is to have electricity, part of their right is to get meter in their premises. You are giving them estimated bill, you are depriving them from having electricity meter. It's not fair on the consumer side.
I think we have about 11 DISCOs in the country. How many of them are your off-takers?
Yes, I have 2.
So what needs to be done to have more DISCOs patronize you?
They should allow consumers to have the freedom through a scheme. We need to appeal to them. We need to create a policy that discourages them from importing. And if we can have an intervention, form of funding from the government in order to help the citizens of the country to bridge all the metering gap, that will go a long way.
Is it safe to say that you do not generate all your required raw materials locally? So if that assumption is correct, what percentage of your raw materials do you generate locally?
Yes, it has been a major setback. The forest is actually telling so much on us because we have never been granted a forex from the CBN since I've been applying. I don't know when they will grant mine. I've been going through black market to do my raw material. However, the interesting part of this raw material is that some of them can be produced locally.